Oh yeah. Yeah, certified advisor.
Oh, okay, so they probably don't get scans.
Oh, you can scan it still.
Just to, for attendance.
Otherwise.
Welcome back to another day at Alta. Will you please rise for the pledge?
Scan that QR code, guys. No, that's
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for today's
For lunch, we have cheese chicken quesadilla. Also, the driver's ed rings will be operating this next month. Please make sure to move your car off the driver's ed ring every day by 3 p.m. Cars not moved off the range by 3 p.m. will be ticketed or towed. Please make plans to move your car off the driver's ed ring every day by 3 p.m. That means if you play spring sport or part of a spring club and have game days or practice days, please make sure you move your car each day off the range by 3 p.m. Thank you for your attention and have a good go on.
You're now offering live and super enrollment options right here at Alta.
I guess I should say today, not tonight. Yeah. 3:30, right?
40th annual Chocolate Walk Festival will be on May 17th. The theme this year is street art design. Our season 2 are available at Lydia's Ohrn. If you look back for your son,
Every day.
Come to meet the pros event this Tuesday, April 30th, today in the library during advisory. We are trying to hear from Coach Orhn's brother, J.D. Ohrn, about how he turned his hobby into a successful business, which takes care of visiting patch deals across the country.
National Water Society application being numbered by be a part of the values organization that represent value character, development, and leadership. You have a qualified educator and will receive
That's how and you get free total.
You'll need to look at the yearbook. You can purchase one through Skyward until May 15th.
Senior surveys, not by the counseling office during West Bridge Street. If you are still need to complete the surveys, get that done today. QR codes are throughout the school.
Equal quality is 45. We will be doing now for Joseph Jew.
If you're not too cold, just stand in the corner. It's always 90 degrees.
We should come up with our voices are tonight at their senior and half long to be at this place. So miss our baseball team at this baby today for and wish our volleyball team good luck as they play having a nice day. And remember Alta, that's why.
All right, welcome to Meet the Pros. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice a little bit. We're super excited today to have J.D. Ohrn, who's going to talk about his career's journey and how he got started in what he does and how he loves what he does. He's Coach Ohrn's brother, which is really cool that he would come and talk to us. Just some information, you need to scan the QR code, and there will also be an exit ticket that you'll get at the end when you pick up your donut. But you need to take that back to your advisory teacher, and then if your advisory teacher doesn't excuse you, then they'll use the list from the QR code. So try to get that to your advisory teacher today sometime. If you're in Miss Alaris's class and she's offered extra credit, you do need to have your name on the list from the QR code. So I'll let him about his career and his journey. Thank you.
All right. Well, I wanted to start off with a couple of things as we get rolling with this. One of those people that doesn't believe in luck. I actually believe that when preparation meets opportunity, that's when people call it luck. And so we kind of make our own luck. We do things in our lives that prepare us, that then when an opportunity presents itself, we take advantage of it. So I just want to get that out of the way first because we'll get to it in a little bit. My story really starts with we've always battled, we've always competed. I went to Bingham High School, I graduated from there. I got cut from the football team as a sophomore and ultimately rolled all the way back and coached on the varsity staff at that high school. So a couple of things that I kind of took from my growing up is that I was always going to win everything. I'm going to beat you in everything that we do. And that's just my mentality. And even if I'm not ahead in the score when the clock runs out of time, I look at that as a learning experience, not a loss. So I don't lose, I learn. So those are a couple of the things that really have driven me in my life and in my life journey. So I have a couple of little visual things that I wanted to do. How many people here want to be an entrepreneur? Raise your hand. Let's see it. Okay. How many people here would like this $100 bill? How many people really want it? Who really wants it? Like really, who wants it?
I'll take it.
Who wants it?
Do we need to come up?
Who really wants it?
I want it.
Who really wants it?
If I come up and take it, will you give it to me?
Who really wants it?
If I come up and take it, will you give it to me?
Who wants this $100 bill?
Are you actually offering the 100?
Who wants this $100 bill?
Not offering 100. Okay.
Who wants it? He's the only one that really wanted it. Right? It's yours. Okay, so preparation means opportunity. Okay, you might say he's lucky, right? Was he lucky? No. So who really wanted that? That guy. Okay. In life is scattered with $100 bills. They are laying everywhere. You just have to stop and pick up. So continuing my story, I from high school, I went on a mission. I got home. I started going to college, and I realized I was wasting my, and I realized it wasn't for me. Schooling wasn't for me. Now, I love to learn. I read hundreds of books. I'm always reading, I'm always listening to podcasts, I'm always listening to self-improvement stuff because I love to learn. And when I dropped out of the community college and started my own business, I really got after it. And I love to work. So as I started working and I started building my own organizations, my own businesses, I had a buddy who was going to the University of Utah, and he was in the entrepreneur class. And he had a professor that one time told him, "Who in here is an entrepreneur?" And everybody raised their hand, just like we did, right? He said, "No, really, who is an entrepreneur?" And they all raised their hand again. And the professor stood up there and he said, "You're lying to yourself. You're all sitting here in college. The real entrepreneurs are out there doing it." And when he told me that story, I was out there doing it. He was the one sitting at the University of Utah. So what that tells you is you can go to college, but you also need to be doing it. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to go start your own thing, you got to get out there and do it. You got to get out there and hustle. You got to get out there and work. One of the big growth times of my organization, second one, this one, was in 2014. From the beginning of May to flying home on Halloween to go trick-or-treating with my kids, I took 4 days off. And I worked 16 to 20-hour days. My mind is the kind that I only sleep 5 hours a night, 5 or 6 hours a night. So when I wasn't sleeping, I was working. So for 6 months, I put in time. We opened 2 other states in that time period, and we really got after it. Because I was willing to make those sacrifices because I could see the bigger picture. I could see what my plan was. I could see what my goal was. So some of the books that I've read that have really impacted my life, one of them is The Secret. And in the book, The Secret, it talks about how you can visualize, write it down, set your goals, and speak it and think it into existence. You are your biggest hurdle, but you are also your biggest tool. You are your biggest asset, right? So the person looking you in the mirror is your biggest problem and the solution. And as soon as you realize that you have that control, that's when you can really grasp that power and go and win everything, okay? So, our story, I started in a cabinet shop when I quit college. I was working in a cabinet shop, started my own, and I go out and I'm a pretty good salesman. I have always been pretty good with words, pretty good with manipulating my parents into getting what I wanted, working the system where I could, and I go out and I start selling cabinet jobs while I'm working at another cabinet shop. I went out and the second job I ever sold was a $160,000 cabinet job. And with cabinets, you get 50% up front. So I close this deal, sell this job, walk into my parents' house with an $80,000 check. I'm 23 years old. My dad looks at me and he goes, "What are you doing? You're going to go to prison for fraud." It's like, "Do you know what you're doing?" My response to him was, "No, but I'll figure it out." And that's how I've run everything. I've figured it out. My motto is figure it out. Win everything and figure it out. So in order to win, you got to figure it out. So I took that job and we just springboarded from that. I made more on that job in 1 month than I would have made an entire year working at that other cabinet shop. And we just continued to grow. 2008 hit. It was a little bit of an upheaval in the housing market. We ended up getting stuck with quite a few jobs that we had finished that we never got paid on. We never declared bankruptcy, and we fought our way through that debt and eventually became debt-free. It took until about 2012 for us to pay all that stuff off. So it took us 4 years to pay off jobs that we already had finished and never got paid on. So you're going to run into obstacles. As you grow and as you move through a career as an entrepreneur, you're going to run into huge things that are outside of your control. The things that you can control are your effort and your attitude. The way that you approach the situation, and then how hard you're willing to work. Those are the things that are going to get you where you want to go. I'm not standing up here. The only reason I'm standing up here successful is because I'm standing on top of my failures. I haven't been buried by them. And I won't let them bury me. I will win. I will win everything. So, from the cabinet shop, we evolved. We had to shift gears. We moved into doing kitchen refinishing instead of brand new custom multi-million-dollar homes. And we started killing it with that. We followed the money. It became very, very profitable. We also, in 2010, I bought a failing retail store, little saltwater aquarium retail store. Because when we were killing it with cabinets, I had luxury fish tanks. Was able to grow corals, bring in fish. I was selling little baggies in my basement, glowing blue lights in the basement. Neighbors thought I was dealing drugs. But people were leaving my house with corals that I was growing and fish that I was bringing in. That graduated to where I bought a failing retail store. I had more inventory at my house than they had in the retail store. So I just moved my client base over to that retail store. That was in December of 2010. And as you can see up here, these are some of the locations that we're in now. So we're in Utah, Montana, Nevada, Colorado with 2 locations, Nebraska, Minnesota, Kansas now with 2 locations. This one needs to be updated. These are all open and running now. We're in Texas, we're in Illinois, we're in Iowa, we're in the other one in Kansas. We've got 2 locations in Arizona, down in Phoenix. We just opened the shills in Boise. Some of these are private clients and a lot of these are shills. So we do all the aquariums for shills nationwide. So what that means is I had a little tiny retail store that was about 1,500 square feet. And I would drive to and from California picking up and hand selecting the animals that we would sell in the retail store. Well, during those drives, back then, you didn't have cell service all the way to Los Angeles. So a lot of time was spent thinking. I read a lot of books, I did a lot of audio books. One book that had a big impact was The E-Myth, and the E-Myth Revisited. And it really talks about economies of scale, and it talks about how you as in your industry have to think outside of the box. So I'm thinking about this industry. A big business in the industry had just sold for $60 million. I'm looking at that and I'm like, if that's the biggest one in the industry, this is a tiny industry. How can I take a little fish store and buy an island? Like, I'm not gonna be able to buy an island running a little fish store, right? Who wants to buy an island? I mean, why not, right? So to have like private plane island money, you're not going to do that in an industry that the biggest company sold for $60 million. So I had to think outside the box. How can I do this in a way that is completely different from anyone else that's ever come, anyone else that's ever been in this industry? And that's where the wheels started to turn. I realized staying in one state, in one location, was never going to get me to that. So, as you can see, we expanded. We found a very niche market, very, very specialized service that we provide, and then we chased it. Eventually I ended up closing the cabinet shop because the fish world got too big for us. We evolved, started to open up some of those other locations, and some of these private clients that we take care of have some pretty unique animals. So you always hear that joke of if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Well, I can tell you it's still a lot of work. And there will be times when it sucks. And you've got to find a way to push through that. So not every aspect of what you do is something that you will love. I'm to a point now where all the things I don't like to do, I have delegated to other people, and I focus on what I am really good at and what I do really well. But I've had to do everything in the organization at some point. And so now this is just a little presentation that we did. We do something like this that we share with potential clients. The clients that we deal with now are usually billionaires, 100 millionaires, guys that really want to have something that no one else has. And so that's really where we focus. Shills is been a really good client for us. We've done all of their aquariums since Sandy, when the Shills and Sandy opened. It's a really cool story about that. I had a client over at Jordan Commons, and it was a sushi place. And the owners had just kind of left it, and the employees were running it, and eventually Larry H. Miller came in and locked the door. Well, the employees called us and they said, hey, we need you to come take all the fish out because they're locking this place up. They hadn't paid their rent in like 5 years. So So we show up and we take all these fish, and they're giant fish, and we're like, I don't know what we're going to do with these fish. We can't house them. We don't have enough space. And so I had heard about this new place that was opening, Shills. And I made a couple of phone calls, got connected to the right person. I said, hey, I have a bunch of really big fish that I can't house. I heard you guys have a big aquarium. Can I just give them to you? Well, our aquarium's not ready yet, but you take care of aquariums? Do you want to come give us an estimate on taking care of ours? So that leads me to another point, which is why I brought more $100 bills. So now I got your attention. So the lesson here is the mentality of abundance. So if we hold on to our money, we hold on to our business, how hard is it to get another $100 bill in there? It's pretty hard. Now, if you hold your money like this, and you hold your stuff and you treat stuff like this, some can get out, but more can come in. So with that in mind, that was the approach. That was the heart that I try to project. And with Shills, in that regard, being willing to give them those fish for free with no thought of expectation opened up one of the biggest opportunities I've ever had in my life. And so we went in, we won them over, we sold them on our abilities. Within a year, we were planning to... They called us. Hey, come up and meet us in Billings. We walked out of the meeting with that contract. Before I was even at the airport, we drove. This is back when we were before we were even out of town, they called me, hey, we already have one in Reno, Nevada, and we have one in Springfield, Illinois. Will you go check out Reno, Nevada? Tell us what it'll do to fix it. $1,000 project later, we fixed their aquarium in Reno over the contract there. About 2 years later, they called us back for the Springfield, Illinois location. We took over that one. And then we opened up every single Shills since then as they've expanded across the country. So every time that they open one, and we've got one, it's not even listed here, Tulsa, Oklahoma, we just signed the contracts on that one. They have another one going in Texas and Austin. They're continuing to expand. The last, when I was in Chandler, they had us in a meeting and they said, hey, do you think you could do 4 of these a year? Well, I'll figure it out, right? So that's where we're at with the organization. This is a presentation that we do that we'll send to clients, and it just kind of gives them a quick rundown on who we are as a company, what we do. This one's kind of fun. You see this is Longboat Key, Florida. This one is a 350,000 gallon swimming reef at a hotel. So you pick up your snorkel stuff and you go out and swim in the aquarium. Now, we didn't get this project. Yeah?
So this is a little off, it's not off topic, but it's kind of handy. So I was wondering, so clearly Shills is expanding very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan for when that expansion slows and you'll have all these employees left over from that massive expansion? What's your plan?
So the way that we organize and the way that we build, we run an employee or a labor budget with each contract that we run. And the way that I look at it is a rising tide raises all ships. So we have our budget for our labor. We get paid on a weekly basis servicing the aquariums there. So our contract with the employees that we have in place holds those employees.
Okay.
So as long as we continue to have the contract with Shills, we continue to have the same number of employees. Yeah. What we have implemented, I just renegotiated the contracts with Shills. We had not done a price increase since 2012. And so we just renegotiated our contracts with Shills at a 60% increase. That allowed us to then put in another entire layer of leadership. We're in 19 locations, and I raised 4 people from within the organization. One is a COO, and he runs our operations. And then we have 3 regional managers that now oversee and split things into about 5 or 6 per person. When you start to create your own organization, one thing to keep in mind is you really don't want to have more than 7 direct reports. Okay, you really don't want to have more than 7 direct reports. It gets too much for that leader or for that manager. So the way that I look at it is it's an upside down pyramid is the way I look at it. I'm the point at the bottom. not the top. The good flows up and the shit rolls downhill. So everything that happens that's bad is my fault. And everything that's good is everybody else's. And if you have that mentality as a leader, more people will follow you. If you look around and you're by yourself, you're not a leader. So if you look around, you have a lot of people following you and they're invested into your dreams and into your goals. That's where true leadership comes from. But the only way to get there is for them to know how much you care, for you to give them the credit and you take the blame. So another little side tangent, but thanks. So I'm going to quickly go through this. That's kind of our story. You see the divers and shills, that's us. There are some pretty rare fish that we do. We're at almost 140 employees in 15 states, 19 locations, lots of private clients. This is a pretty cool picture right here. These fish right here were raised in captivity. They're $25,000 a piece. We hired a private plane to fly these guys into a client. So this is the lobby of one of our clients. These guys, they have two companies in the organization. This company over here, Kateco, they manufacture all the AEDs, and they hold 37 patents on the AEDs, for the defibrillators, and they make the pads. So they print money in this place. It's a pretty fun client to have. We try to source very specific animals, and we try to be very cognizant of the impact that we have in the wild and in the ocean. So a lot of the fish that we purchase, like these guys, are raised in captivity. That's this guy right here. Those guys are raised in captivity. These guys were about $4,000 a piece. This is one that, little cameo by my 8-year-old. This is a system that we just set up in Arizona. Billionaire's house. This house is probably valued around 75 million. This is the shark tank in his basement. And then we have a tarp up here because this is the pool behind it. I've got a couple quick videos that I'll show you. Just rare fish in these pictures. But I've got a couple quick videos that I'll show you guys that have, let's see if we can get these to pop through pretty quick. Of some of the cool stuff that we've been working on. So this is that guy's house. And you can see the room with the pool on the other side. We were down here for their for the release of the sharks. Let's see. Let me get to it. So this is as we're getting the sharks ready to go in. That's a 27-inch black tip reef shark. Just swimming around in a garbage can. And then here's some of the sharks as they've been released. So we have two black tips in here, and you can see them cruising. We call all those other guys lunch, but hopefully not today. So these sharks are about 6 months. The nice thing about that is this is when we actually dropped them into the tank. So the one was in, you see us lowering the garbage can in, there's a diver's feet here on the ladder. They're shooting commercials and things. So yeah. Thank you guys for attending.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What shop you work on? Reef Ohrn. It's like Joe's Aquarium.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Whoa.
I tried.
Thank you. Thanks.
Donuts.